So tonight we'll do a guided meditation where the poetry will be most of the guidance, and I might add a few words. And then we'll take a little break, and then we're going to spend a little time looking at one poem, and we're going to do a Dharma contemplation, which is a way, and I'm using Gregory Kramer's model, but it's a way of sometimes looking at the suttas or the Buddhist scriptures in a way where you contemplate the Dharma by going through deeper and deeper understanding what's been said. And we're going to try that with a poem. And it'll be our chance to talk to each other as we contemplate that poem together. And that's on Zoom and in the room. Hey, Matt, welcome. All right, before we begin, just to acknowledge the holiday, which is a celebration for many. And it can also remind us to remember and appreciate the people who lived on this land before this nation was created, the Monacan Indians of this land. So with appreciation for those ancestors of this land, the ancestors who have given us these teachings, and with appreciation for the fact that we want to be together to practice, to meditate together, to contemplate together. I feel very fortunate. And for those who don't know me, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Marylouise Kelley. And it's nice to meet those who I haven't met. So we'll begin with our meditation. Just allowing yourself to set aside the distractions of this day, to let that go and to give ourselves permission to be here. This training of our minds to be present. We might begin with 3 very deep breaths. Taking the breath in the belly, the chest, up to the throat. And releasing that breath fully. Feeling the out-breath, releasing with the out-breath. And the next 2 breaths, just letting go of any tension with the out-breath. Letting it go of any stories that walked in here with you. And welcoming just a few moments of silence and peace. In a Time of Much Doing by Rosemary Watola Tromer. How soon I seem to have forgotten how to be still, how to not plan, how to step out into the day and let the world itself write the story of how a morning becomes an afternoon, becomes a night, becomes a woman. How soon I seem to have forgotten the value of not doing, the gift of unscheduling, the blessing of dipping my toes into the stream of no time, then wading in full body, where I remember I am part of an infinite story, and at the same time, I relearn how fragile it is, this life. How soon I forgot I could change it all. Even now, I could be still again. I could choose silence, even now. Our minds are ever busy, and thoughts and sensations will arise. And we don't need to feel any pressure to clear our minds. We just want to see what's there clearly, without judgment or story. Noticing what's arising, noticing where it came from, its source. Noticing how I'm relating to this. Our second poem is Enough by David White. Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here. This opening to the life we have refused again and again. Until now. Until now. This poem by Dana Falls is called This Breath. The senses are such extroverts, always seeking, always vigilant. Invite them to rest in your center and focus inside for a while. Gather your wandering thoughts the way a shepherd might search for lost sheep and bring them home. Breathe in peace and breathe out peace, the flow of breath connecting to your essence. Whether you feel distracted or serene, the peace that passes understanding is right here, in the midst of your experience. Rest for a time, your only task to witness what it is to be alive. This breath, this streaming energy, this precious present moment opening wide. Just allowing the breath to help us move our attention from the head to the heart to the body. The flow of the breath connecting you to your essence. Rest for a time, your only task to witness what it is to be alive. This breath, this streaming energy, this precious present moment opening wide. Thich Nhat Hanh's poem, Breathing. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. I'm the freshness of a dewdrop. And breathing out, my eyes have become flowers. Please look at me. I'm looking with the eyes of love. Breathing in, I'm a mountain, imperturbable, still, alive, vigorous. Breathing out, I feel solid. The waves of emotion can never carry me away. Breathing in, I am still water. I reflect the sky faithfully. Look, I have a full moon within my heart, the refreshing moon of the Bodhisattva. Breathing out, I offer the perfect reflection of my mirror mind. Breathing in, I have become space without boundaries. I have no plans left. I have no luggage. Breathing out, I am the moon that is sailing through the sky of utmost emptiness. I am freedom. And the final poem from Thich Nhat Hanh, Interrelationship. You are me and I am you. Isn't it obvious that we inter-are? You cultivate the flower in yourself so that I will be beautiful. I transform the garbage in myself so that you will not have to suffer. I support you, you support me. I am in this world to offer you peace. You are in this world to bring me joy. Remembering that our practice is not just for ourselves, but it's for ourselves and for all beings. And appreciating the way this gathering together supports our practice. May the merits of this practice serve our awakening, support our Sangha, and be for the benefit of all beings everywhere, without exception. This is a poem I just wanted to share with you, but the idea is, as I mentioned, that we'll be doing a Dharma contemplation. So the idea of just taking this in, and there are sort of phases in the contemplation. It's just taking it in silence, then speaking the words. We'll speak them out loud, both here and on Zoom. And we'll delve into our feeling responses, and then into the meaning of the words a little bit, and then to what the essence that we take away from it. And then if time allows, we might dialogue and just see what's here after going through all of that. Have a little dialogue in smaller groups. Any questions about that before I sort of guide us through those steps? Okay. Throughout this, we'll try and pause and hear the words, allow enough silence to take them in, hear what others say, take that in. And so let's just begin with just a moment of silence. And prepare to take it in. Now I'd like to begin with 2 readings of the poem. One from somebody here, one from somebody on Zoom. I wonder if anybody would be willing to read the poem.
When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks, and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches. And they call again. "It's simple," they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine.
And now let's see how this will work if someone on Zoom can volunteer to read the poem. Here we are. Thank you, Brianna. Could someone unmute, and are you able to see it? Thank you. Thanks, Sharon.
When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locust, equally the beech, the oaks and the pines, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. "It's simple," they say, "and you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine."
Now you're invited to invite you to speak out individual words or phrases that touch you. Maybe speaking to what touches you, just touching the word lightly and then letting it go. Listening to what others have to say. And speaking only the words from the text and ruminating.
I would almost say that they saved me.
It's simple.
They saved me.
The light flows from their branches.
And bow often.
Go easy.
Distant from the hope of myself.
Gladness.
And never hurry through the world.
It's simple.
The hope of myself.
They save me and daily. Just taking in these words and allowing them to find a home in your memory. Just remaining absorbed in these words and turning towards any resonance that you might feel in your body, what emotions are evoked. What might you say to, when I read this, I feel?
Spaciousness.
Hopeful.
Kinship.
Majestic.
Humble.
Longing.
Small and safe.
And I invite our friends on Zoom if you'd like to speak up. As we continue to dig into this, we can turn to exploring the meaning of the words and phrases, sort of inquire into them, into our meaning, our interpretations. What kind of collective wisdom emerges as we take this in?
I'm intrigued by, I am so distant from the hope of myself in which I have goodness and discernment. Curious.
I'm also curious about those two lines. I actually don't like them because we have basic goodness by being alive, and it makes me sad to read those lines. Because I don't think we can ever be distant from our basic goodness.
I was thinking the same thing, but then I read, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. If I read those together, somehow it lifts me.
When I read this, it seems to me, and this is how I feel, that nature has all the answers for me. And if I'm truly connected with nature and that word, the light, I don't know, that's where I get my answers.
I see that she resolves the thing you talked about, Matt, in what nature suggests to us. And I like the play on the words, especially the, and then just a couple of trees later, equally the. It seems playful.
I noticed she used the word light twice. Light flows from the branches. Be filled with light.
I am feeling the second paragraph that starts with, I'm so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment. I feel like that's a state I can fall into, whether it's true or not. And then if I can step back, maybe in nature, I can remember not to hurry through the world.
I'm thinking the second paragraph is about an impermanence.
I wonder on that second paragraph, I am so distant, if there's reference to the distractions of a material world.
I notice how she's focused on being, not doing.
This feels a little silly, but these are such kind trees. And somehow I was thinking of the trees in The Wizard of Oz, where they try to take the apples and the trees, I think it's that movie, and the trees snatch them back and are grumpy. And somehow the idea of these trees being so loving and caring and reaching, I don't know, it just feels, they're really animated.
It evoked some thoughts that were different but similar in terms of the kindness of the trees. It just evokes in me sort of an image of children, like from my childhood, playing on a playground, and say a new kid, some kid who's lost, some kid who's standing there lost, kicking the dirt, and who's very distant from the hope of themselves, and the kids playing jump rope are able to say, hey, come here. Do you want to? You can do this. And how it just kind of transforms everything.
I'm wondering if we're frozen on the screen. Okay. Would anybody like to share? So rich. So rich. Now dropping into beneath the words, any deeper truths to which these words are pointing. Is there a message or a core teaching that we can take from this? Or how might we experience this in our own lives?
I was inspired by Teresa to look at which words are repeated, and I noticed that call is repeated. So I'm wondering if that means that I can allow nature to call me back to who I really am.
You had nature as a way to be grounded, that it's simple. Touch the bark of the tree if you're confused and swirling. It's a wonderful way to be grounded.
It seems there's some notion of we are like trees. We don't have to strive, we can just be. And also, a tendency that we have to be human and forget our goodness and our discernment. There's an invitation to remember that we could search the whole world over and not find anyone more worthy of compassion than ourselves.
It made me think about both reaching out and reaching in, and that there's no difference between the two. That's my thought.
I was just up at my parents' house, and my mom showed me a scrapbook from when I was in first grade, and I took a picture of this. I wrote this poem when I was in first grade. How the trees rustle The trees in the breeze when it's so cool in the air. It's so nice to be in the trees, right in the breeze. It's so nice to be in the breeze. You hear the leaves rustling, and it's so nice to be in the breeze. Just that simplicity.
Matt, it's just, it reminds me that there's this simplicity to this poem, and it's what we experience as children and forget, lose track of. Thank you.
Yeah, how many memories of playing in trees as a child? Yeah.
So Matt's poem just made me think of this. The hints of gladness that the trees give off suggest that the trees might be happy and expressing gladness, and then all those metaphors in Matt's poem just felt happy, and so the last line about easy and light and shining, to me that's happiness. So I'm taking away that, like the trees, we're here to be happy.
Matt, thank you. It made me think of, as a little girl, lying on my father's lap in the car and looking up and seeing that underneath the tree, the leaves. And to my mind, they were silver. They weren't, of course, is that whatever that fuzz was under them, but it was so soothing. It reminds me of one of the poems you were reading earlier was a bit like a lullaby. And now I can't remember it, of course, but it ties in with Matt. I did not write a poem when I was in the first grade like yours, but I have fond memories of the trees.
And late in our doing this program, this poem, I went back to and daily and just had this little mini tiny epiphany of, right, it's a practice. You don't learn it and take it with you. You have to keep returning and returning and returning. And anyway, the and daily means a lot to add to the whole rest of the poem.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar, Jane. The daily and that they save me daily, it felt kind of brave that she would say, I need to be saved daily. And I am so distant from the hope of myself daily. And that, even Mary Oliver, is saying, I need the trees to remind me of these lessons, and yes, our practice.
It's a reminder that the present is always available. The present is where the trees are living. And it's an alternative to what's going on in our thoughts sometimes.
It's so interesting to be on Zoom with this because the screen is showing us primarily the poem, So I'm taking in into my ears your voices and your speaking, and it is really amazing and lovely. It's like that third stanza. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches. It's like you guys are the leaves, and one of you will speak, and there's this little leaf sparkling in my ears, and it goes into my body, and it's like really nice. It's just a really interesting thing to be doing it, not being able to see much of anything, and just hear. It's really lovely.
Wow, another layer of listening. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also community, Sangha. It's like I take you in this just wonderful way. It's filling me up with light. It's wonderful.
So in this final part, we just release the text. Touch and let go the words. And just notice in our present moment experience what touches us now. I wonder if you might want to just think on that a bit, and then perhaps we could use that to check out from our practice tonight. Sharing our present reflections on where the text has left us and what touches us now. And if you all are willing, perhaps we'll just pass the mic, and you're welcome to pass if you don't want to say anything.
I'm feeling tremendous gratitude, Marylouise, for you bringing these poems, this and the others, as the source of our meditation tonight. And it's just so rich, and then how we all shared. It's lovely. Thank you.
Gratitude, connection, love.
Interconnectedness.
Gratitude and hopefulness.
Just the reminder that it's all around us. I quickly just jotted down the name of the poem just to kind of remind myself, like, to go to her more often. But in the trees, in the Sangha, in poetry, it's just all around us.
Peace is the first thing I think, but I also like the thought when it says stay a while, because it doesn't say stay. Just like we come and see each other for a brief period of time each week and then leave again and then come back. So it doesn't ask us to be permanent, it just asks us to take it with us.
I feel an ease and a recognition of the interconnectedness of life.
Marylouise, thank you for And like Sharon was saying, it's like, are we those sparkling little leaves, all of us? I love this so much.
To be with the trees and in nature is to be in harmony.
Being in nature helps to break fixed patterns in the mind or some stuckness. It's so rich. Today, in the middle of the heat, which the heat is I want to get away from version, but I was struck by it was quiet. All the animals were quiet. It was rest time. The air was not heavy with moisture, but it was dry. So it's always changing, and it's always available as a reminder.
Sorry for the trite play on words, but I feel independence with each other, independence with nature.
Would love to pass and to anyone on Zoom would like to, what are you left with after this contemplation? You coming in, Linda? Brianna, does Linda need to be asked to unmute?
Okay, sorry.
There you are. Okay.
I'm drawn to the words, it's simple. It's simple. And to go easy. And the ease and the simplicity of not filling yourself, but being filled with light.
Thank you.
And then to shine. Yes.
Sharon, anything you want to leave us with?
Well, kind of the same as what I've said, the light flows from their branches, just the light flowing from each of you, of us, just the light flowing from your leaves and branches. It's just wonderful. I love it.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I just want to share my heart is full. I guess it's the leaves, all of our voices together. I really love that. So thank you. Good night. Good night, all.